Welcome back everyone. Today I thought I would paint you some more flowers, some of my pretties. I'm going to use watercolour and a number 10 round, a script liner, just one with long bristles and very fine, just a little detail brush. This is a 00. I'll be using some of these Inktense Pencils by Derwent. Really love them. The colours are very intense. If you haven't got those, you could definitely use watercolour pencils. And I will probably use just a graphite pencil. This is a well-used one, as you can see. It's an 8B. So anything from a 4B up to an 8B would be fine. Even just a black coloured pencil would be fine too. So without any further ado, let's do some glazes and build up our flowers in watercolour. So I do have made myself some marks on here so that I can try and keep my paper in your vision today. So I'm just going to take some clear water and I'm going to go for more of a pinkish flower today, but I am going to start off with a pinkish grey, and I'm going to first of all use some Payne's grey and some Opera rose, one of my favourite pinks. Isn't it yummy? Just want it a little bit more blue than that, so I'm just going to add a bit more Payne's grey. There we go. It's very similar to a Daniel Smith colour that's called Moonstone, so if you have that you could possibly use that too. Just adding some water. I want these glazes to be transparent, not too much pigment in them. So here we go, and I will just paint myself a petal shape, almost the shape of a butterfly's wing, and again just think of a triangle with rounded edges. Then we'll have just a couple of little ones in here. Now with this one I'm also going to do some lines just with the tip of my brush. Now taking a tissue, just crumple it up a little bit. And then lifting off. Now I do like to also do a little bit more with a crumpled tissue, as you saw in my last video. So I'm just making this painting semi-transparent. Now in the last video I did add some darker colours around the outside edge, and I'm going to do that now. Just adding a bit more pink to that mix that we were using earlier. Still quite wet underneath. Such a pretty colour, isn't it? Why don't we let that bleed out a little bit, and just using some clean water, it's going to touch into that colour and letting the colour bleed out. Put a bit more colour in just so that it will move. And same over here, put a bit more colour in and just pushing into there and just letting it bleed out. Just picking up a little bit of Opera Rose there and just adding it to that bit that bled out. Okay, I'm going to just dry that off quickly. Another colour on there. So I'm going to take that Opera Rose back into the mix that we had earlier. And I'm going to add some quinacridone Gold Deep. A little bit more of the Opera Rose. I just wanted it more peachy than what that was. These Daniel Smith colours are such strong in pigment that you really do need to add lots of water if you want those glazes to be transparent. They're beautiful, beautiful pigments and I just love them. Still want a bit more pink. There, that's better. Lovely blush colour. Okay, let's put some more petals in. Just a very light touch, remember, because we don't want to reactivate the colour that's underneath. Look at that colour. Just love it. Just checking you're all on screen, which you are. Now, a couple of little ones. Just bring that one over a little bit, I think. Okay, now just taking the Opera Rose again and just adding some little touches to some of those edges. The pink to the center. This is just straight Opera Rose. Such a vibrant pink. Just going to drop a bit of quinacridone gold into that. Just take that lolliness off the pink. Okay, let's find an Inktense pencil. It's a colour called Chili Red. Just making sure you're all on screen there again. Now, just like in the last video, we're going to start defining some of these petals with a stronger colour. Isn't it yummy? Just remember to hold your pencil towards the top, not down towards the pigment end. Just playing around with the overlapping petals. Okay, I'm just going to take the smaller brush, the 00 round, and some water. Now remember, this flower is still wet, and you can do the Inktense dry on wet like I just did, or you could dry off the flower and then put the Inktense on and move it around just with the damp brush. You could do it either way. So I'm just activating the pencil, a bit like watercolor pen, well, very much like watercolor pencils, how they work. But remembering too that once the Inktense is dry, you can't reactivate it like you can with watercolor pencils. Okay, back on with the chili red. Just doing some little circles, some little seeds in the center. Just show you a close-up of that. You know what? I'd also like to put a little bit of chili red around some of these outside areas. So just taking it just off the tip of the pencil, just taking a little bit of colour, don't take too much, because you will end up with a really strong pigment and you really don't want that. Okay, that's looking really, really pretty. Just making a little bit darker in the center here. You can do that by drawing on, or you can do it by, again, just taking some pigment and then softening off. Just with clean water. I'm going to dry that off and come back to you when it's dry. So here we are. It's looking very, very pretty. Lots of layers in there. I'm going to take some gold now with my script liner. So just using watercolour. If you haven't got watercolour, you could definitely use acrylic. And you don't have to use gold, you could use any colour you like. If you had a blue flower, you could use silver or white. So lots of water in there. Remember, when you're using a script liner, you need it to be quite runny, a little bit like milk. Okay. Let's do some gold petals. Notice how I'm using the brush. I'm holding the end of it. Makes you a lot looser. I want that line to be just that little bit heavier. I'm just going back over it. Few little gold dots in the middle. A little bit of splattering. So just getting some on there and just hitting the brush. A little bit more water. Now I would like the centre to be a little bit darker, so I'm just going to take that chili red and just draw back into that gold. Just going to use a graphite pencil now. And just add a few just darker accents, not too many, doesn't need many. Bless you. I just heard my husband sneeze. Just bring out that centre a little bit more just with the graphite. Just an 8B graphite pencil. A graphite pencil, just an ordinary pencil. An everyday pencil that you just draw with. But being 8B, it's a lovely dark colour. I really feel as though I want to put some white in there, so I'm going to use some gouache. I've got acrylic just in front of me here, so I'm going to grab a little bit of that. Acrylic or gouache, you could even use a pen, like a white gel pen. This is just a Matisse flow. And just using my little brush. A bit of water in it. Now, just taking the white, adding water to it. Let's do a little bit of splattering on there. So there we have a very, very pretty flower. Hope you enjoyed watching it. Hope I kept my artwork in the screen as much as possible, and have fun painting. Do those on a card, or just do a little artwork as a gift for a friend, or to hang on your own wall, and just enjoy doing it. Don't forget to hit subscribe. I'm going to be doing a few more of these little flowers for you, and enjoy. Bye for now.